Hello, my name is Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Self-Storage Quick Start Academy. How to buy your first self-storage facility, almost ready for release. We're doing the final edits on it, so thank you for your patience on that. And last week, we talked a little bit about the difference between economic and physical occupancy, and I really want to dive into that. I had a lot of questions on that. I often tell people, if you keep your eye on about 5 things in this business, you'll do very well. It's not a complicated business. And one of the things that as an owner you really need to keep your eye on is the difference between physical occupancy and economic occupancy. So let's actually look at a facility and go through a drill that I do regularly on this property, on all of our properties. So this is a huge facility. This is a 166,697 square foot facility. Actually, it's about 102,000 square feet of self-storage, and we have over 240 parking spots. Because so much of the income comes from parking, I calculated the parking square footage into the total. It's a monster facility, second largest one in this state. The gross potential income per month on this facility. So in other words, if every single person in every single unit was paying, the gross potential income this facility can generate is $114,241. Now, when you look at our occupancy report, you will see that of the total square footage, we have 94.6% of our total square footage occupied. So that's a good occupancy rate, 96.4, especially on a project of this size. 5-10 years ago, I would have said that's impossible. You'll never hit that. Well, we're hitting it, and we're hitting it regularly. And that sounds really good, doesn't it? Often, if I had this on the market, that's how I would promote it. I would say, huge facility, 96.4% occupied. And that is true. But let's take a deeper dive into this. So if you take a look, you'll see that of that 96.4% occupied, that if you look at if every unit was paying on the occupied units, in other words, the gross potential income of the occupied units, that would be $109,563. But that's not what we're getting. If you look, what you'll see that we're actually getting is $102,396. $102,396. Now that's a difference, isn't it? In fact, that variance is over 5%. It is 89.6%. What we're actually getting is 89.6% of the gross potential income. And that's slightly over 5%. If you remember last episode, I talked about if we're ever over 5%, we're having a conversation with our managers. Well, we are. We did. I found out what the difference was. Now, know that this is what's scheduled to come in. The actual went in the bank was a little bit smaller because we received that money plus late fees. So we were below the 5% in actually what got deposited. But I don't look at just what got deposited. I look at what's scheduled to come in. So when I dove a little bit deeper into this, because there was a larger than 5% variance when I looked at this month's close, and this is the year end, and I looked at this month's close, I saw that larger variance. I dug in to see what was causing it. If you look at the variance between what we should be getting or could be getting if everyone was at street rate and what we are getting is $6,376, slightly over 5%. Well, I dove into that. And the reality is I'd forgotten. What we did a few months ago is we had a price increase, and we rose the street rates, and we rose the rates on everybody who had been in the facility over 6 months. But if you had moved in the facility 6 months or less, we didn't raise your rents. We were going to wait 90 days, then raise the rents. And I'd forgotten that. That rent increase is scheduled to go in March. Now, Why is that important? You might think I'm just too deep in the weeds here. That, 90%, 89.4%, that's dang good income. Why would you be this deep in the weeds and care that much about it? Well, let's take a look. Let's say that I close that gap $5,000. When we have that, in other words, when we have that price increase, that's $5,000 more dollars, 3% more going into the bank account a month. Well, that's first of all, that's $5,000 going into our bank account. Secondly, that's $60,000 a year of income that we're getting that we didn't get. But most importantly, what I see is not $60,000. What I see is $750,000. How do I see $750,000? Well, $60,000, the value of $60,000 at an 8% cap rate or capitalization rate. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, watch last week's episode. We go into detail on this. The value of that $60,000 income stream is $750,000. So in other words, by going this deep in the weeds and looking at the variance number and realizing that of the 6,000 something, we're going to close at approximately 5, what we have done by doing that drill is we have added $750,000 worth of value to this facility. Now, I know this is a big facility and most numbers aren't that big, but frack it down, cut it in half, cut it in a third, cut it in a fourth. That's real value to your facility that you can get by keeping your eye on this. Don't let this slip through the weeds. Don't let this slip through the cracks. This is a powerful way to create real wealth in the self-storage business. So my name's Mark Helm. I'm the author of Creating Wealth Through Self-Storage, and I'm the creator of the Storage World Analyzer. The construction expansion module, I promise, it is coming out. I'm having another issue with one of the modules in that construction module. We're working through that. And as soon as we feel that all the bugs are worked out, we are releasing it. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching this. See you soon.